Hello friends, I really wanted to share my first time on my own motorcycle back in 2019. Believe it or not, I have not always owned a Royal Enfield Classic 350. I actually owned a Suzuki Boulevard. It was an '06, it's a 650. I could not find this footage for the longest time, just because I didn't realize it was mixed in with some of our Tennessee stuff that we had filmed in that year.
Hi.
You turn the steering.
I'm just making sure. I didn't want it to. So I feel like it's important to always share our journey in the motorcycle community, and especially for new riders, specifically, just because, you know, we have all started in some way, shape, or form at some point in a certain spot. I know that before this, I actually started on a Yamaha Vino 125, and at that point in my journey in 2019, I could not do it anymore. It was not a big enough size motor for the hills at where I worked, and there's the Vino right there. When I first got it, I fell in love with that scooter. I absolutely love that scooter. So I decided to get a 2006 Suzuki Boulevard 650. It was a pretty decent deal. The guy actually dropped it in his garage, so it had a ding in the gas tank when we bought it, and that's why we got it for the money we did. Don't ask me how much I paid for it 6-7 years ago. I don't remember. The chance to be able to get on a 650 motorcycle was just absolutely awesome to me. It gave us more options to ride. As you can see, we had the Yamaha Roadstar. It was also an '06. So was the Yamaha Vino. It was also an '06. For whatever reason, '06 must have been our year to get motorcycles when we first started dating. I was so excited. This was my first ride on the Suzuki by myself without being in the yard. I was ecstatic. I had learned on a Chinese bike how to shift gears before this, and I also was driving a stick shift car at the time of this filming. So I had a pretty decent idea of how to shift gears, when to shift gears, what speed I needed to be at in certain gears. So it wasn't too big of a adjustment for me, especially with the Yamaha being an automatic and this being, you know, having a clutch and everything. There is one thing that I had to get used to, was holding on to either the clutch when you go to turn it off, or putting it in neutral. For whatever reason, this bike absolutely sucked when it comes to putting it in neutral. I could not for the life of me find neutral on this bike. Now the Royal Enfield that I have now, it's a lot easier. Obviously it's a newer bike. Well, when we bought this bike, kind of a little story behind this, and I'll share a Snapchat of, I think the Snapchat, and I don't know if I have pictures of it after we had painted it. So in this, it's actually baby blue, but we actually eventually painted it blue to eventually to fix the bump and everything. This was a project bike, and we knew it from the get-go. We were fully anticipating to put new handlebar grips on it, which we did. We fixed the dent in the tank. We painted the entire motorcycle, and then 2020 happened. Actually, that was during 2020 was when we got all that done. We needed a new belt on it. I don't think we needed fork seals. We needed something else anyway. And 2020 hit. We hit a lot of hours in our job and in our life, and we were really busy. 2021, we had a family emergency, and we had to deal with that most of the summer in 21. By 22, it was just one of those things that I don't even know what happened with 22. It really just became a blur. So that's why I ended up in 23 getting the Royal Enfield Classic 350, just so we could do our trip. Could I have done it on the Suzuki? Maybe. But we've learned in our lives the last 5 years that really having anything remotely as a project is just difficult in our lives, just because we do live a decently busy lifestyle. It's just hard to find the time to actually focus on said project. So we did end up selling the Suzuki back in 2023. It was great for that first season in 2019. I absolutely loved it. It was amazing. I would highly recommend Suzuki Boulevard any day to people that are new riders. She was really easy to manage. I did drop it in a parking lot when I was first riding, and I was by myself. I wasn't with John, so I actually learned how to pick it up by myself if worst case scenario, because you know how people are nowadays. So it was honestly, I don't know, the best way I could have started my motorcycle journey out, and having a motorcycle that had the clutch and the gears and learning all of that aspect. I'm glad I did start with an older bike, just because then once I got to the Royal Enfield Classic 350, I was still green, but I actually knew enough of the concept where I wasn't going to burn a clutch out, or I wasn't going to, you know, hurt anything in the bike mechanically to where, you know, I would be sad, especially when it was a brand new bike. So in my opinion, I have loved both bikes. I have loved the Suzuki. I love Yamaha. I mean, I'm still to this day tempted to get another scooter. I miss having the scooter life. It's not going to replace the Royal Enfield by any means. You'll definitely see that again. I will be posting here soon my Royal Enfield riding video. I finally got the Insta360 mount on the Royal Enfield, and I should be posting that next week. So, as always, happy riding. Be careful out there. I'm going to let this play a little longer because this is a really cool ride. It's in Mohican State Park. It's a nice ride to start learning all of the, you know, learning the gears, learning how to ride. It's 20 miles an hour through there, so it's pretty easy going as you're going down the road. And it's just a nice ride altogether. I've ridden it so many times with my scooter, with my motorcycle. We've talked to a lot of people in Ohio that ride, and they love going through this area. It's just a nice area to enjoy a nice ride. So as always, like and subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want to see more. Like I said, next week I'm hoping to post those videos that I did get with the Insta360 on the Royal Enfield, just as a different perspective as to some of the riding and everything that we do. And I'm hoping to post more videos on the motorcycles. I also have some trip videos from May that I need to post. I've been neglecting posting on here this summer. It's just been, the summer has gotten away from me. So as always, happy riding and have a good one, guys.